No, yeah,
No.
good.
Okay, now we're on. Chassam Sofer says all this. So it comes out that our Havdalah is modeled after the Purim story. Mordechai, Esther, fire, Psalmim, Yehudi Moisa Orv, Simcha Sasam Yikar. It's very, very interesting. Now, in the Megillah, it says that when the Jews defended themselves, they didn't take any money, which is contrary to history. The Germans, when they conquered, what did they take? All the money. The Crusades, what did they take? They took all the money. So, when we talk about that, they didn't take any money, they took all the money. Okay. You have two mitzvahs on Purim. You have a lot of mitzvahs on Purim. You have Mishloach Monos, giving food, and Matonas Leviot. What should you give more of? Should you give, if you can fulfill the mitzvah, should you do more Mishloach Monos or more Matonas Levionim? So the logic says Matonas Levionim. It's interesting in the Megillah, when it writes the words Mishloach Monos, the first time it writes it complete, as if you should give a nice gift basket. But then when it says Mishloach Monos Ish L'Re'ehu Matonas Levionim, give gifts and money to the poor, the word Mishloach Monos is missing the vav. Right? To tell you that between the two, Mishloach Monos should be chaser, less, and Matonas Levionim should be greater. The truth is, it's very hard to fulfill the mitzvah of Matonas Levionim. You think it's easy. You think it's easy to give money to poor people. But most of the time, you don't find poor people to give money to.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's Purim, you never know. You never really know who's poor, who's not. I mean, I have people who go around collecting, and they buy houses and they put $300,000 in. All cash,
All cash.
All cash. I know people who collect money are millionaires. So I said to him, don't you think you should get a job instead of collecting money? And he said to me, collecting money is my job.
Easy job.
It's my job.
Easy job.
I go at 10 o'clock in the morning, I don't come back till about 5, 6 o'clock. I don't do it on Shabbos. I'm a Shomer Shabbos collector. I work 6 days a week.
They have more money than any worker.
That's right. And then I collect Medicaid and Medicare and Section 8 and everything else. That's my job. I said, well, don't you think you should get a real job? He says, I don't work well with people. I don't get along with people well. So I'm self-employed. I work for myself. I'm my own boss.
No taxes.
No taxes. That's his job. And I do very well, and I'm making a good living. And now my wife and I want to buy a house. What's the problem? Want to do the mortgage? I said, sure. Sure. Why not? But so to fulfill the mitzvah of Matonas Levionim is not so easy to do. You can give money to an institution, and sometimes we know people in the community that need it. But what is considered tzedakah versus chesed? Tzedakah means a person that doesn't have enough money for food.
Yeah.
I have people all the time. There was a guy, listen to this. I gave a shiur Friday night in Kew Gardens. Listen to this. And at the table, there was a gentleman there who owns a liquor store. And he says, I had a situation, I want you to tell me if I did the right thing or not. I says, okay, but there was about 30 people at the shiur. I says, in America, you're judged by a jury of your peers. We have 30 people here. Tell your story, and we'll let the people decide. I don't have to decide what you did is right or wrong. He said, okay. He says he has a liquor store in Manhattan. A lady came in, a Jewish lady, saying, I'm collecting tzedakah. He says, who are you collecting for? She says, for myself. He says, what do you need tzedakah for? She says, I need food. I have no food. I have a family, I have no food. Okay. He gave her $5. It's not a big donation, $5. Gave her $5. Of course, she gave him only $5, I have my family, my food, I don't have any food. He says, lady, every 20 minutes another person comes in here with the same story. I normally give people $1. I'm giving you $5. Okay, $5. About a half an hour, 45 minutes later, she comes back to the store, and she takes off the shelf a bottle of vodka, and she comes to the cash register, And she pulls out the $5 to pay for the vodka. So the guy who sees this says, "Do you recognize me?" She says, "No." "Because you're a drunk. I gave you those $5.
For kids.
You said you needed food for your kids. You don't need food for your kids, you just wanted to buy whiskey." And he took the $5 back. "I'm taking my money back." She called 911. The police came down and she accused him of stealing the $5 from her. So he wants to know, I'll tell you what the police did in a moment. He wants to know, did he do the right thing or not? Jury of his peers.
No.
Did he do the right thing or not?
Who? Him or?
Him.
In one way,
No,
he gave money,
Yes.
he cannot take it back.
Ah,
Once
The
you
way
give it, you can
he
take it
not
back.
right.
drinking is the right thing.
she's a drunk.
He's right.
By the law of the
He,
US,
he says, okay, you're right. I gave money, it was a gift. Normally, if I give a gift, I can't take it back. We're not Indian, we can't take the money back.
That's a lie.
But she lied. I gave it to her, it's under false pretense. She stole the money from me because she lied to me. You know, she was foolish to come back to the liquor store she was just in. So he says that he's right. I said he was wrong. What did the police say? The police said to her, "Did this guy give you the $5 a half hour ago?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, then if he wants to take it back, he can take it back."
Fair enough.
And the police washed their hands.
Fair enough.
And they took the vodka themselves, I guess, I don't know. Can't tell you what happened.
Do you think he did wrong?
Listen, I think that, the Gemara says
Whatever you
we're
give.
very happy that there are crooks out there. Because this way, if someone says, "Give me money," you don't give them money, you could be guilty. But now you can say to Hashem, "I wasn't sure if they were honest." So the liars and the cheats help us get out of a din in Shamayim. But, when a person says to me, I've had people come to my door, they're hungry, they want food, I said, no problem. I give them a few apples, a few oranges, a piece of cake. Sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't. It's very hard to know, because there's a non-stop, very hard to know.
What the people said, 30 people.
They all said, you gave her the $5, it's
Don't-
hers.
Okay.
If you want, don't sell her the liquor. Just say, "I'm sorry, I'm not gonna sell you the liquor."
And keep money.
Or sell her the liquor. Let's say the liquor costs $5. It only
$10.
cost him $2. So at least this way you got $3 back. So, sell. What do you care? You're not her father. You can't change people. Okay, listen to this story. Last story. The story was there's a rabbi, the Neil Stam in Muncie. He puts out a Stam Torah, a newsletter of Divrei Torah, which is beautiful, and he brings down this story from Rabbi Meir Goldvik. Rabbi Meir Goldvik, I think, writes for Art Scroll. I'm not sure. In 1967, during the Six-Day War, he was a kid. His father was in the army, and he was living in Israel, in Yerushalayim. And his father was away for 6 months. And when his father finally came back, after 6 months, the Yom Kippur, the Six-Day War, so he went to greet his father. And the bus that was dropping off the soldiers dropped them off right at the entrance to Beit Vagan, which is Mount Herzl, Har Herzl, which is the military cemetery. Har Herzl is on the way on Rehov Herzl in near Beit Vagan. And the kid goes, and he sees on Har Herzl piles and piles and piles of boxes. So he says to his father, "My ima kufsaot, what are these boxes here? There's 10,000 boxes. What are these boxes?" And his father turns to him and says to him, "Let me tell you what they are." He says, when the armies of Egypt and Jordan and Syria were preparing to attack Israel in the Six-Day War, the Israeli government estimated 10,000 casualties. There would be 10,000 Jews killed. And the Americans donated coffins to help bury the 10,000. And these coffins were all stacked up on Har Herzl. Of course, they didn't have anywhere near 10,000. They had almost no casualties. So he says, these are coffins that were prepared for the Jewish people that Hashem Nahapachu turned it around. He says the next day in the newspapers, the mayor of Yerushalayim put in an ad. If you want to build a sukkah this year, you don't need to buy wood. Come to Har Herzl. We have extra wood. We'll give it to you for free. And they took all these wooden coffins and they broke them apart and they gave it out to the people of Yerushalayim and they used it to build their sukkahs. So he says, imagine, he says, a week ago, these were going to be coffins to bury the Jews. And now they're going to be the Sukkah's David, the sukkah that the Jews will sit in on Sukkahs to celebrate the Yom Tov of Sukkahs. He says, that's Purim. That's Nahapachu. When you think it's the worst situation imaginable, and in a moment it flips itself, and it becomes the greatest salvation at all. He says, can you imagine sitting in a sukkah that was supposed to be your coffin? It's an amazing thing, you know. You almost feel like Count Dracula, you live in a coffin. But it's an amazing story. That's what Purim is all about. That when you're in that type of a situation, when you think all is lost, and just the opposite, nothing is lost. It's the beginning of the Geula. He says that's what Sukkot is all. That's what the Purim is all about. Have a good night. Enjoy your Purim.